Reverend Carol Willis began her spiritual journey in the late 1960s when she was invited to attend the youth group at a Unity church. Hearing three spiritual truths she'd never heard before, she was hooked and wanted to know more. She served Unity churches for more than 40 years as a licensed Unity teacher, youth director, and regional children's ministry consultant. In 2012, Reverend Carol was invited to the Center of Enlightenment by a good friend. Resonating with the people in the teaching, she started attending regularly. In a year, Reverend Ken invited her to serve as treasurer of the board. Shortly after that, Reverend Ken invited her to attend the ministerial program. Reverend Carol was ordained at the Center of Enlightenment in October of 2015. It's been 10 years. Wow.
It was quick.
Yeah. In August of 2024, senior minister and myself, I promoted her to, or appointed her as the senior minister when I stepped down. Reverend Carol is an experienced teacher, speaker, spiritual counselor, youth ministry coordinator, and event planner. She enjoys teaching classes on Bible, metaphysics, nonviolent communication, peacemaking, conflict resolution, prayer and meditation, and truth principles. And I am honored to work with her today, and I consider her a good friend. So please help me welcome Reverend Carol Willis.
Thank you, Reverend Keith. It's been an interesting journey, I have to say. I never really expected that truth principles and metaphysics and all that would have a prime spot in my life, because I wasn't looking for it. It was looking for me, and it found me multiple times, and I got steered in a direction, and it's been an amazing blessing to my life. I can't even imagine what my life would be like without the truth principles and my relationship to spirit. So this morning, my lesson is life's changing seasons. The word season is defined as any period of time marked by something special. This time of year, we're experiencing 4 holidays in a row. And can you believe that the year's gone that fast that we're looking at the holiday season coming up? It's called the holiday season, and there's much joy, fun, and celebration. I don't know about you, but I was a little shaken by Christmas commercials before it was even Halloween. I went, oh my gosh, holy cow. Currently, we're in the middle of a changing season in nature. The weather is changing, the trees are changing, our wardrobe is changing, our choice of foods is changing, and even our time has changed. I love this time of year because you get to eat foods that you don't ordinarily eat in the rest of the year, like the squashes and the soups, and I just love that. Everything has a cycle or a season, and nature is always changing. And so our lives too have seasons and are changing. And one of the things about nature is a great teacher. What we see in nature really shows us what happens in our lives if we pay attention. One of the truths we learn is that life will always change. And what makes up our physical world is temporary, not permanent. Nothing stays the same, no matter how much we want it to. It just doesn't, because nothing lasts forever. The only certain thing in life is change. In life, we have all experienced expected and unexpected changes. Sometimes neither type is easy to deal with. And why is that? For me personally, I get very mentally and emotionally attached. And I'm not somebody, or I haven't been somebody that easily lets go of those attachments. So I'm somebody that usually has difficulty letting go. And if I let go, it's gone from my life. However, it still lives in my memory, but it's just not here anymore. And I feel the loss and I grieve the loss. And in time, I will experience a season of release and begin to move forward. One year here at Center of Enlightenment, our annual theme was change can only grow and strengthen me. I don't even remember what was happening at that time, but the ministers felt that this was an important affirmation to share with the congregation. And so, once again, change can only grow and strengthen me. Let's say that together. Change can only grow and strengthen me. So, when I would feel kind of shaky about letting go or about welcoming change, I would say that to myself. You know, the benefits of dealing with that is it's going to grow me and make me a stronger person. Change is the process of transition, and we move from one experience to another, one relationship to another, one job to another, one health condition possibly to another. And it goes on because life is about change. Transitioning has a pattern to it. There's the ending, the void, and the beginning. And I know that sounds backwards, but that's the pattern. Something ends, then there's a period of quiet, and then there's a new beginning. And we've all experienced this, even though perhaps we aren't consciously aware of that. So, in that transitioning process, the first step is the ending. When I was 64, I had to retire from my job. I didn't want to retire. I hadn't planned for retirement, but there it was right in front of me, and I had to deal with it. I was going to have to retire whether I was ready or not. I was done. There was a lot of emotion surrounding this. My daily routine was suddenly changed. I got up the first morning, I didn't have to go to work. I didn't know what to do with myself. Like, I don't know what to do with myself. I had no plan. And boy, did I get depressed, and I grieved for almost 2 years. I brought this book with me today. This is one of my favorites. It's called Finding Yourself in Transition by Reverend Robert Brummett, Using Life's Changes for Spiritual Awakening. And he says in his book, if we worship the ending, we give it more power than it deserves. But if we honor the ending, we acknowledge the impact on our life. We honor the people and experiences that were important. So it's really all about how we see this, how we accept it, and give it the proper place in our life. Step 2 in the transition process is the void. For me, the void was the 2 years I spent sitting on the sofa with the dog sitting in my lap watching TV. It was awful. It was awful because I still didn't know what I was going to do with myself. I was in a bad way. I felt very alone. I felt abandoned, helpless, and overwhelmed because I didn't know what the next step was going to be. I didn't know if I was going to go back to work or if I was just going to stay retired. I didn't have a clue. And what I didn't realize was that spirit was at work even though I was not consciously cooperating or even putting much effort into moving forward. The day came when I started reading help wanted ads in the little local newspaper, the Woodward Talk. Nothing interested me, but every time the paper came out, I started reading the ads. One day I received a call from a friend who shared with me that her company needed employees. And I said, well, if I can help you with anything, let me know. Before we hung up, she said, yes, come tomorrow. I have something for you to do. And I was there 6 years. It was the perfect job for me. It was part-time, so many days a week or so many hours a week. And it was just perfect for me. Step 3 in the transition process is the beginning. I showed up to work that day, the next day. And for me, it wasn't about the pay because I was collecting Social Security at that point, and I didn't really worry about the money. She could have paid me $1 an hour. I didn't care. But the thing is, I had a direction and I had a purpose. I had a brand new connection to people, and somebody needed what I had to offer. The job literally found me. Spirit did a great job opening that opportunity for me. In that 2 years I sat on the sofa, I had no idea where I was going. But Spirit knew where I was going and made the way for it to happen. Robert Brummett writes, transition is a process. To understand its nature and to trust the wisdom within it, allow us to use the transition as a time for accelerated growth and learning. Well, one of the things I learned was I didn't want to sit for 2 years and watch TV. I couldn't do that. Jesus said, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. And so what that means to us is it's not good for us to be isolated and to just stand still. If we fall into the ground as a seed, we're giving something forward and we can grow into something else. Life is constant change. God consciousness designed Earth to be a place where souls can learn and grow as spiritual beings having a physical human experience. This is a place of learning and growth. That's why we're here. Every one of our souls chose to be here. And we chose to be here for a reason, because there's things happening here that our soul needs to know about for our growth, for the expansion of our consciousness. In my life, I've had many seasons. I've lived long enough that I actually count the decades as seasons, and each one has been very different. Very different. Some were easy, some were not. Because in some of those seasons, I had health challenges, and many of you know about that. And a couple of times, I almost exhausted one of my 9 lives, as my sister would say. She said to me the last time, you're exhausting too many of your 9 lives. Knock it off. So in closing, I'd like to share with you a poem by Martha Smock. It's called No Other Way. Could we but see the pattern of our days, we should discern how devious were the ways by which we came to this, the present time. This place in life and we should see the climb our soul has made through the years. We should forget the hurts, the wanderings, the fears, the wastelands of our life, and know that we could come no other way or grow into our good without these steps our feet found hard to take, our faith found hard to meet. The road of life winds on, and we like travelers go from turn to turn until we come to know the truth that life is endless and that we forever are inhabitants of all eternity. At my stage in life, I look back sometimes and I think, do you have regrets that you didn't do this, that you didn't go here, that, this didn't happen and whatever? That's futility to think that way, because it happened the way it was supposed to happen. I made choices. Spirit led me in certain ways. In my church experience in life and career, I went places and did things and met people I would never have imagined. And I certainly never imagined being a spiritualist minister at Center of Enlightenment. Do I wish sometimes it were different? A little bit, but not really, because I feel I had the experiences I need to have. I met the people I needed to meet. They enriched my life. Because of them and the experiences, I am the person I am now, and I'm pretty comfortable in my own skin. It's all been good. But to get to this point, some of those travels and transitions were not fun. But it's okay. I survived that. I survived it. And it made me a better person. It made me a strong person. All of those changes that life offers us are chances to grow and become strong. Strong within ourselves, strong in our connection with God, strong right to the core of who we are. Our lives are valuable. It took me a long time to figure that out. But I'm certainly glad I did. And with whatever time I have left, and Reverend David says I have until 87, I'd like to make the best of it. And I'd like to think that I can move through these times of transition with grace, with mercy, with love, and all my other spiritual gifts. So I invite you to look at transitions differently. Life is always going to be changing. You can't stop that. You can't stop it. It's the way it is here. It's the way it is here. And it's meant to be that way on purpose. Our soul needs this. That's why we're here. God created this experience especially for us to learn and grow. And so I just want to say happy transitioning, happy growth and strength. God bless you. Thank you for being here, and I appreciate your attention this morning. And go Lions.
Thank you, Reverend Carol. And I looked it up.